Hello and welcome to this first session of Trail of Cthulhu here on the Gauntlet Gaming Calendar. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and this is the first of 5 sessions, which means that in part this is kind of a session 0 where we set up our characters and kind of get them in play and then roll into the mystery. So we have 5 sessions, which means we'll get a little bit in this session, and I expect that we'll have 2 to 3 complete mysteries, depending on how we pace things and so on. That's my goal. They will be interlinked. There will be threads running from one to the other in the course of this. So the Gauntlet Gaming Community is an online gaming calendar, gaming community that we have games all the time throughout the month. And if you want to find out more about that, you can check out gauntlet-rpg.com. That has all the details on everything. So concept-wise, so Trail of Cthulhu is a game of investigators pursuing occult mysteries. It's using the Gumshoe system and Trail of Cthulhu system mostly as written. There will be some things when I go to the mechanical side that I've made some tweaks to that. This is set in 1936 New York. This is our place. This is a New York that is still in the grips of the Depression. Things are changing out, but we're still a lot of that suffering that is going on there. LaGuardia is the mayor of New York. At this point, you've probably heard that name. There are vast disparities between the wealthy and the people on the street still trying to find a job, still begging. There are social programs that are getting in place, but there's still a lot of excess labor and personnel and people and things like that. Even as the Rockefeller Center, the big, massive place, it's still being built. There are all these kinds of disparities that are going on where on the one hand, we have the real poverty of the Depression, and then we have the very hyper wealthy, super wealthy, able to carry on as if nothing happened. In this play, we're trying to kind of catch the feel of that time. Related to that in terms of the concept, our investigators have seen weird shit. Maybe they haven't seen specific Lovecraftian creatures or Cthulhu or anything like that, but they've seen something strange. They've had an experience that has struck them as unusual or occult or whatnot. Approach-wise, we have 5 sessions, so we'll begin the whole thing with a little bit of a hard frame with the investigators meeting with somebody who has a task that they want undertaken. But then after that, how you investigate and where you go is open. This is a game in the Pulp Mode. That's one of the details from a Trail of Cthulhu. You can do Purist, where your characters die a lot, and trying to fight back against the stuff is going to get you killed. Or you can do Pulp, where you can go and get your guns, and maybe that will help you survive. So we're doing the Pulp Mode for this. Tone. This is a horror game, but also a mystery and investigation game, and a pulp one. This is potentially has dark stuff, dark material going for it, but is not nihilistic. This is not full grimdark. Everyone is doomed, and you're fighting back against something that will never be overcome. There is cosmic horror here. There are things that are overwhelming, but I don't want to go bleak in the play of this. One of the things that'll be important is us looking at our safety tools and looking at the choices that you have on the lines and veils for the things that you want to mark as things you don't want to have, things you don't want to see. And that's going to be really important, which is why I'm going to shift right over to that section now. We have a layered set of safety tools that we're going to be using. The first of these is lines and veils, which I'm sure everyone is familiar with. Basically a hard line, anything, we don't want to deal with that in the course of this. I want to mention one thing. I did see somebody mark this as a line in here, is the issue of racism. I may have to allude to that at certain points, but we're not going to have that on screen, and the players are not going to be engaged with that or anything like that. That is a mark of the time. I don't want to dwell on it, but there are some things that tie into the socioeconomics of it. If I go too far for anyone's taste on that, please X card on that. I don't want to push on that, but there are a few places where there might be some issues that will hit. I am going to try and step back from it. That's just a cautionary note. It's a hard line. I want to respect that hard line, but I also want to understand that there's some of that a little bit built into the setting that we're working in. But we've got a number of other lines there, and I'll go over these after we get into character creation and introductions. I'll go back over these. So take your time and look at these and see if there are other things that you want to mark as a line or as a veil where we fade to black, or an ask first. Ask first meaning, if we're going to have that issue pop up or we're going to have that thing happen, we want to check in with people before any of that occurs. And I will definitely come back to that. So that's our baseline to work from. If there's anything you want to add, as you know, feel free to do that. Our second level is the X card. Basically, if we hit something that you find objectionable, problematic, the language being used is offensive or is bothering you, or the tone of the presentation, either from the GM or player, is problematic, or somebody's jumping in on your stuff, these are all reasons to use the X card. If we go wildly off tone, that's another reason. You can say X card, or you can do the gesture. That's the easiest way to handle things. We won't ask for a defense or an explanation, except to try and figure out where we need to roll back to move forward from. Rich Rogers mentioned this to me and taught me this little thing. If something happens a couple of times in the game, and the first few times you're like, I'm okay with that, and then you're not, you are absolutely legit to X card it later on. Like, even if it's going to happen a couple of times, if it's a point at which you're like, now I'm not good with it, then you should do that. So that's in there as another piece of the safety puzzle that we're working with. And the last thing that I use is we do have the open door policy, which means if you need to step away for whatever reason, you need to step away to decompress, you're not enjoying yourself, whatever reason you need to do, you can step away. It'd be great if you could say, hey, I'm going to be back, or I'm not going to be back, but you're not obligated to that. So just that's out there as a tool that you can use. Also, it is absolutely cool if after you play a couple of sessions, you're like, this is not the game for me. I do not want to play this anymore. It is legit to open door out. You should always feel free to do that. You are not contractually obligated to return to a game that you do not enjoy. So always keep that in mind. So those are our safety tools that we have on the table. Let me talk about the way Gumshoe works and the things that you want to consider as we go through here. There are two kinds of abilities, basically. There are investigative abilities and there are general abilities. Investigative abilities are the way that you get information. They are how you get clues. And in any particular scene that you go into, there will be core clues, things that usually point to other places you need to go, that have links to other directions. But there may be other things you can find out about the deeper picture. So we've got a variety of investigative abilities. It's a big list, and I even cut this down a little bit. So just to tell you. And they're broken into three groups: academic, interpersonal, and technical. You will do two things when you go to pick those investigative abilities. One, you will choose which ones you know. And to do that, you'll change it from that sort of grayed out to standard, like full bold text. So if you want to have streetwise, you'll go into interpersonal and you'll change that from gray to black. You're going to get a number of abilities that you get to then choose from those places. Your choice of profession will give you some of those picks, and then you'll have some other ones on top of that. Now, you'll also have what are called pushes. That means a number of spends that you get per case in that area. So if you have 3 pushes in academic, you can do extra spends to call on something that you know from that. For example, let's say that you're investigating a building and you have architecture. The great thing is, if you have architecture, you can say, I have architecture, and I'll give you some basic information. You won't have to roll, you won't have to spend, you won't have to do anything. You know architecture, so we assume that you can look at this and find the kind of important information from it. But sometimes I will say, would you like to make an architecture spend? What that means is you'll spend from the academic pool, a push from there, and I'm going to give you more deeper, enhanced, more obscure information that may help you. You can also ask, hey, can I make an architecture push here to get something more? You can make that offer. And then you spend from that pool. So those points from those pools will refresh between cases, between mysteries, but they're really a thing you don't roll. You just kind of say, you know a thing, you spend it, you do that. One of the things I encourage the group to do during character creation is take a look at what other people are picking, so you spread out what skills you might have. So that you don't need to have everything, but that you got a lot of the bases covered is a good idea. The other kind of ability are the general abilities. I've got written above them physical, but they're all that's not supposed to be there. General abilities. So general abilities, they all have a rating. You're going to have a little pool for each of those abilities. You can have a bunch of points to put around on those. And you're going to spend from those pools of those points when you want to do something. For example, let's say you're getting chased by a dog and you want to hop a fence. That's probably an athletics roll or a flee roll. We can fall back to which one seems most appropriate. What I will tell you is what the difficulty is. So I might say difficulty 4. At that point, you get to roll a d6 and you want a 4 or better. If you want to have a better chance of doing the jump, better chance of hopping the fence, you will spend from your athletics or your fleeing pool before you roll the die. So you say, okay, I really want to make this, so I'm going to drop a point from my athletics and roll a d6. And at that point, you roll a d6 plus 1. Again, still looking for that 4 or better. The general abilities will also refresh between mysteries, but there are some ways to kind of catch your breath and refresh some things as well. There's some other fancier bits that I'll talk about later, but that's the basics you need to know: is investigative abilities, how you get information, how you get clues; general abilities, how you do things, how you do the sort of mechanical things in the game. Does anyone have any questions about those abilities, or what an ability means for play? Okay. Eventually you will. Eventually you'll be like, okay, well, what does this actually mean? Like, how does this actually get applied? So you can ask that at that point. So let's look at the character creation tab. I've got the steps that you're going to walk through: basics, what you get from investigative abilities, investigative pushes, and so on. Everyone is going to start with a profession. Your profession is going to give you a certain number of investigative abilities that you have set, and then you'll get however many more, up to a total of 11 of those. So what are people thinking about profession-wise? I saw some, Agatha, I noticed, do you think you mentioned antiquarian?
I did. That was before I realized the time period, and now I'm like, oh, that's who I mean, I'm still down to play that.
Oh
Like,
no, you
probably,
this is very open. Anything you want to do, we will roll with.
yeah. But let's say for now that is
Okay.
what I'm leaning towards. What
Okay.
is everyone
Okay.
else?
Let's see what everybody else. So Mike, what have you been thinking about? If you have a one or two things,
I've
maybe
got a
even
I've,
three.
I've got a couple of ideas, and I'm happy to do either of these if someone else had something similar. One idea was the professor occupation, basically an academic,
Okay.
academic at one of the local colleges, maybe at NYU or Columbia or something like. Ooh, Columbia, that'd work. Um, or alternatively, the journalist.
Okay.
I have two different character concepts.
All right. So let me mark that down. Jesse, what are you thinking?
Yeah, so I have a kind of a strong character concept,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's either like the background is it's sort of a soldier turned criminal. So
Okay.
either the soldier enlisted or criminal background could work, I
Okay.
think. So if someone wants one of those, I would happily take the other. And
Okay. That sounds good. And John, what are you thinking?
Well, I'm not sure which profession is in the game, but I was thinking maybe an astronomer.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of ways. If you look on the character creation tab, I've got the ones listed aside. You could do that as a professor, or you could do that as a scientist.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
I think scientist,
Okay.
but I can do something else too.
No, you should do what calls to you. So Agatha, does that help? Does that leave anything open that you're like, oh, I really want to do this instead?
I think then, yeah, I will definitely stick with antiquarian since I don't think anyone has like art or architecture, so I'll cover those.
Okay. So right now, I'm going to let you all go, work through those choices. Feel free to consult with one another about that. And those abilities that you get, investigative abilities that you get for your profession, uh, uh, like the other picks, you can take whatever you want. I mean, if you want to be a soldier who is also really good at geology, that is a reasonable thing to have. So feel free to spread and take things. And now I am going to shut up for a while and drink some water. And if you have questions, hit me up. Ask. All right.
quick question then before you disappear, Lowell.
Yeah.
So just I apologize if you said this, but so you get 3, or in my case, whichever one I choose, 10 investigative abilities. That includes the ones that you automatically get, right? It's not in addition to those automatic ones.
Right. So if you took the outdoors intimidation.
Right? I'd have another 8 investigative.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then and investigative includes, it's all of those, right? It's
Yeah.
academic, interpersonal, and technical. Awesome.
Exactly.
All right.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking that since we have someone who wants to be a scientist and someone who wants to be an antiquarian, that kind of overlaps professor. So I think I'm going to go with journalist. I'll use my journalist concept.
That's wrong.
Yeah, I kind of want to find out what everyone else is choosing for your investigative abilities so we can really cover bases. So I'll just find a picture, I guess.
Sure. Lowell, another question.
Yes.
So I decided to go with criminal. So one of them is one of the well, I think it's supposed to be investigative, although maybe I'm wrong about this, is shadowing, which is a general ability.
That is correct.
So how does that work?
That let me see here. I got under criminal because I was working from the personal technical. I think just take that out and take that as a free, ability. Another. Another
slot in my investigative. Got it. Okay. Cool.
And again, these aren't necessarily permanent commitments. If we find that we get people doubling up, or if you want to hold on to a couple of picks as we go along, don't worry about that.
So we should have a total of 11 investigative abilities.
Yes.
Okay.
What do we think oral history is?
So oral history is like when you go and talk to a witness to events.
Got it.
Or witness to historical events, or getting stories from local traditions. Going down to the barber shop and picking up lore, that kind of thing.
Got it.
Lowell, can you tell us how credit rating works?
So each profession has a starting credit rating, which means that's kind of the amount of money that you have. You see there's like a little number beside there. You start at whatever the bottom of that range is. credit everybody, so everybody has money they can spend. But if you have credit rating, take that as an ability, that means you have money that you can spend to, like, flush cash that you can spend to buy info. You're used to bribing people. You're used to spending money to get things. And the actual number that you have kind of represents the quality of life that you live. So somebody who has a credit rating of 2 versus somebody who has a credit rating of 4, credit rating of 4 person can certainly get in wherever they want. Credit rating 5, even more so. It's kind of, but so your credit rating, you'll have it, have that number. But if you want to use it as an investigative ability, you have to take it. That's my compromise with the push system for credit rating.
Can you take mythos as an investigative ability here, or is that something special?
You should hold off on that. You will have the opportunity because you're going to get advancements basically every session.
I'm not sure I want to. I just wanted to sort of see what the.
Also, for each point of mythos that you have, you lower your maximum stability by 1.
Mm-hmm. Well, that makes sense. Yes. Also, and this is anything I take is just sort of like provisional. I'm happy to change it if it looks like there's a lot of overlap or whatever.
So question about number of pushes that we have, does that equal to the number of skills we have in a particular category, or is it something else?
So let me. You have 12 pushes. You can put those however you want. You can divide them. You could. It doesn't connect to the number of abilities that you have in an area.
And the general abilities are 2 to 1. Like I spend 2 of the 55 points to get 1 point in a general ability. Is that right?
Look here. So Oh, so you get one general ability that you get to pick that is like you're really good at. And that one, you can spend 1 point and get 2 in it. Everything else is 1 for 1.
Cool. Thanks, Anderson.
Yeah.
And Lowell, can you tell us what how the preparedness skill works here? I know how it works in a couple of other games,
yeah.
but I'm not 100% sure about this one.
Basically, if you're like, wow, I hope that we have, this piece of equipment with us. That's the role for it. You always have basic stuff or things you've kind of declared ahead of time. But if you want to say that you've prepared, to have torches or something weird or unusual, or a backup gun, those are all for preparedness.
And how would we notate the one that we're particularly good at?
That's a good question. I hadn't considered that. I would either like make it red, or put an asterisk by it, or some other way to do that.
And what does the asterisk next that's already there next to hypnosis
so
mean?
hypnosis you can't take unless there are a couple of professions that can take it. The alienist is one of them. I think there's another one who can take hypnosis.
I'm going to gray that out on mine, and I'm going to use the asterisk to indicate which one I'm
Smart.
good at.
So you can only test from abilities that you have points in.
You can only test with a bonus from abilities you have points in. You can all like if you have nothing in athletics and you want to roll. There are some skills like if you don't have any points in explosives, I'm not going to let you make an explosives roll.
Mhm.
But for most things, should be able to test from it.
Wonderful. And that would just be like a straight 1d6 against whatever the
Exactly.
whatever the target number is.
Yep.
And then I can spend points if I have them to get bonus to the roll.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay. I know you said that and it's written down, but it's helpful for me to go through it.
Oh no,
again.
that's good. That's fine. So I'm going to give everybody about 5 more minutes. And anything that you don't have set or picked or whatever at this point, you can pick as we go along. So there's no rush on any of this. But what I'll have you do once we get to that is we'll kind of do character introductions, and we'll make some other choice about your drive and all stability and things like that. We'll talk about what that means for your character.
And I think I'm about as ready as I'm going to be. I might, like in play, I might decide to shift some of those points around, but I think I figured out the skills I want. Lol, you're muted.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Is the credit ratings going on the character sheet low? I'm not. I'm having trouble.
You took the scientist. So your starting credit rating will be 3.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
it's listed that like it's the low end of whatever the range is listed under your profession.
Cool.
All right. So what I'd like to do is go across character keeper order and have you kind of tell us about your character, what you're envisioning for them, strengths, all of that kind of thing, and give us a sense of who you are. So, Jesse, I would like to start with you.
Yeah, sure. So I'm playing Olena Zelenko, who has another name also that I'll get to in a second. But she's a Ukrainian anarchist. Probably she fought with the Black Army in the teens and 20s, and when that all kind of fell apart, I think she stuck around with partisans for a little while, and then snuck into the US. There's no way she could get a visa, especially after the sort of lockdown in the early 20s, but just in general, with her history. So Patricia Wilson, Patty Wilson is like her legal name, because that was the name on the passport that she came in under. I mean, I'm not going to do it, but because I can't, it's just not, it's uncomfortable and weird. But people would hear her accent and wonder about about her origins.
Okay.
I think it's like,
So-
it's obvious that she's Eastern European.
Okay.
I'll say that. She's like I said, she's sort of now making her living as a criminal.
Mhm.
Mostly, I think, you know, she retains her ideals, but she also has to eat. And so she mostly works, like I said, she mostly works as a criminal. She's great with explosives. And always happy to stick one to capital. So that's a bonus for her, and that's sort of her deal.
So when you say criminal, what kind of criminal are we talking?
Right. So like, I'd say that she's I mean, she's a violent criminal.
Okay.
She robs banks. She houses, stuff like that. She's mostly not she's not subtle. She's not a pickpocket or anything like that. And she generally, like I said, she generally tries to target the rich and large institutions in the government. But I don't know. It's possible she's had to make some hard choices.
So how long in the US are we talking?
I'd say
mid-20s?
by now she's probably been here between 8 and 10 years, right? We're in the early mid 30s.
Mhm.
So like, she came in, you know, I don't know, 24, 25, something like that.
Okay.
And she's now, I'd say, like, age wise, she's probably around 40.
Okay.
Maybe a little younger than that, 30, between 35 and 40.
So take a look at the drive.
Right.
Drop
I was
down.
struggling with that.
Yeah, like the big question is, you're a criminal, violent criminal. Our other crew members are a little more upscale,
Right.
a little more, investigative, directed that way. So what has driven you? What has pushed you such that you have ended up with them and being willing to work with them and, actually maybe even glad to be working with them.
Right. So I mean, I'm thinking it's something like power, maybe revenge, right? Big picture, right? Like whatever. Like we're investigating sort of like occult stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's our deal. And so I wonder if like we could say revenge, a lot less personal revenge, although there's definitely, I don't know what it is, but I'm sure there's some personal story that sort of drove her to where she is.
So something happened that to a friend or a loved one or something.
Yeah, all the way back in her youth. I think, she, like I said, she's a revolutionary.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is part of that, right? That this is sort of what's right. What drives her is big social change, revolution. We can go maybe because of revenge. Like I'm happy to sort of frame it that way.
But in terms of
power.
like pursuing the occult, once we're here, like
Right.
like what is it? What was it? Something that happened there, and then there were echoes of it when you got here?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. So again, I'm trying to find, like, these particular drives are hard for this character concept, right?
Yeah.
Because like I don't think it's I like maybe I think part of it is I'm not quite understanding what drive does here. Like, is the idea that I want revenge against the occult? Is that what that's supposed to mean?
Like that you got mixed up in the occult and following up on this and stuff out of some kind of pursuit of revenge.
Got it.
That has kind of stuck with you.
Got it.
Something happened,
Yeah.
some betrayal or something like that. And
so in that case, I actually think it's probably either curiosity or arrogance then, right? It's like something piqued my interest and it's like, oh, this is a thing I can use.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sure. And we'll think about how that then like
curiosity,
clicks in with the others.
Mm-hmm.
So Ukrainian, that means probably Lower East Side in 1930s New York.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's are you embedded like in a strong Ukrainian community, or do you think that you're kind of on the outs with those groups?
I think I'm on the outs.
Okay. So you're out of having that sort of support network of an ethnic community and locals and other immigrants and such.
Yeah, I think so.
So who is the person that like you rely on? Like we call it the stability pillar in standard Trail of Cthulhu, and they have a lot of options for this. But for me, I think it's more important that we know like who is the person that you go to when you need reassurance, when you need comfort, when you need like some kind of connection.
Yeah.
Even just a role, like give us a sense of what kind of person that might
I
be.
think it's a lover.
Okay.
I think my guess is it's probably just like someone
the masks throw yourself into easy relief kind of connection.
Yeah. And I think it's also someone who like I'm genuinely affectionate for, but who is like, like they're trying to sort of make their way in like a middle class kind of way. For like trying to like they're actually striving for the American dream, right, in a certain sense. And I'm always yelling, like I have to stay away because I'll yell at them, right, that the American dream is a lie.
Absolutely.
But also there's this attraction and there's this comfort, and I keep on cycling back to them.
Okay. We'll have you come up with a name. You don't need to necessarily now, but just write in lover there so we know that we have.
Hold on. I'm actually gonna just put a name in for just one second. I just need it quick.
And Jesse, he, him, Elena, she, her.
Right? Yeah, I'll change my name in Zoom for that.
Okay, I just want to make sure on all the pronouns there.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. All right. Let me take a look at your skills. A lot of explosives. Just kind of going through there. All right. Let's come to Mike. Mike, tell us about your character.
I'll be playing Sarah Jenkins, junior reporter at the New York. Shall we make up a fake paper, or you're muted, Lowell?
There are a lot more newspapers at this point, local and such.
So she's not working for the time. She's not going to be working for the Times or the Post. It'll be a lesser paper.
I will look up what if I can find a list of newspapers. Newspaper row. I'll look and see if I can find. I'm sure we can track down a list of those. But yeah, so you're in a mid tier.
Yeah. She's a reporter and photographer for a mid tier newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's kind of a mid tier. Because it's a mid tier paper, she's kind of, a lot of reporters are both the photographer and the reporter.
Mm-hmm.
So she regularly lugs around a camera, but she's pretty good with interviewing people, catching them off guard, getting them to trip up, say more than they would normally be willing to say.
So yeah, real strong and interpersonal. That makes sense.
I'm also seeing that she's not making a lot of money, but I'm thinking that she maybe had a little bit of money, because the thing that I think would be cool to play with this character is that she's the character that, oh yeah, I thought of that, I thought of this. So I took preparedness as the skill I'm really good at. She's always, she's always thinking a couple steps ahead and has just the right thing that she needs at a given moment.
Nice. I
see that she's pretty headstrong. Very much, trying to be, a woman trying to make it in a man's world. Realizes that she doesn't get a lot of respect as a journalist as a young woman in the 1930s. I think she's probably in her mid to late 20s.
Okay.
But she's but she's seen stuff that she doesn't understand and wants to learn more about it.
So curiosity said, like what kind of occult stuff do you think you've encountered? Is it seeing a monster? Is it witnessing cultic activities? What do you think it is?
I'm thinking that maybe she was running a store. It's the 1930s, and there's a lot of people scamming for money at this time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that maybe she was. I'm just kind of making this up, but
sure.
I think maybe she got into this she was kind of doing her own like investigative journalism on like con men that were trying to trick people into thinking that they were psychic, or like contacting the dead, or like charlatans that were like tricking people out of their money, like fortune tellers and spiritualists and such like that. But there's like a couple that she investigated. She realized that they weren't actually fake, and she's actually, she was a total skeptic when she went into this, but now she's actually seen a couple of ghosts.
Okay. She's witnessed the supernatural, and that's pushed her further in. Is that something she talks about with other people, besides the immediate group of PCs?
I'm going to say for the most part, no, because she knows that she talks about, she knows that she talks about, she's actually trying to investigate ghosts or demons or whatever, that people are just going to assume that she's crazy, and and that's going to end her career. But so this is something she's kind of doing on the down low.
Mm-hmm.
So the occult investigation, that's kind of her side hustle, and she's doing it mainly for herself.
So who is your stability pillar? Who's the person that Sarah goes to to try and get her head back straight?
I'm gonna say, does it have to be one person, or can I just say her parents?
I think that's fair. Yeah.
I'm going to say, yeah, her parents, they also live in town. They've got a little bit of money, and they've just been very encouraging of her career. So I'm going to throw that trope of, your adventure, I'm going to throw that trope of the adventurer having like a terrible home life and or their parents are dead, their parents were killed horribly and blah, blah, blah. No, her parents are very much alive. She had a great childhood. She's pretty close with her parents. I don't think she lives with her parents still, but let's just say she's like always welcome for dinner.
Okay. Yeah, so we really did sort of flip the card from Elena to Sarah there in some ways. All right. Let me take a look at your skills again. Your preparedness, heavy, got that, sense trouble, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that looks good to me. Let us come to Agatha. Agatha, tell us about your character.
Hey, my character is Harold Brown. Maybe Harry to his friends, probably Harry to his friends. I'll put that in later. And from the skills that I've chosen, I'm imagining him now to be kind of this like a used car salesman kind of guy, but for antiques. And I feel like he definitely got through college, or like he's like, oh yeah, I have I went to college here and stuff, but it's like it's hard to prove. He's good at like finessing around questions like that, and he sees himself as this like the self-made man, like pulled myself up by the bootstraps, and the pulling myself up by the bootstraps is by like lying and scamming people, maybe, but some of the antiques is probably real. And I think he's like discovered or that, well, antiques can get you a lot of money with people who don't care about money in a time like this. So that's kind of his vibe.
And a credit rating of 4 means he's done pretty well for himself.
Yes, that's true. So it's very proud of that fact. That's Harry.
So antiquarianism suggests that you've seen something, come across some kind of wild antique or something, some relic or something that was occult tied. Like what kind of thing do you think made him like actually start to explore the occult world through the lens of these antiques?
I'm pretty sure it was like a vase or something, and then it was like he read something in there, or like looked at the pictures that were the patterns, and was like felt like he saw a glimpse of truth, of this like truth that's out there, and is suddenly like kind of obsessed.
Like wants to run that down, wants to get that feeling again.
Yeah, and it's like it's a part of it is definitely like I'm in it for the money, but a part of it is also like, but what if there's something bigger, and I'm the one who can like see that.
Nice. And what about your stability pillar?
My stability pillar as Harry is my wife, Betty Brown.
So tell us about how that relationship worked. Does she know? Can she see through Harry's facade, or does she bought into Harry's stories?
I feel like Betty is like happy with where we are financially, and I think she's aware of the stuff that I do for like business, whatever that means. Not super aware of all the details, but definitely she knows that it's pretty morally gray and is like okay with it. This like newfound obsession with this specific like line of antiques, she's less happy with, because it's taking me away from actually.
That makes sense. I like that. Let's look at your skills here. Good fleeing. which is always a good skill to have. Personal, little art and forensics. Okay, that looks good. Let me come then to Woodrow Hicks.
Yes, I'm going to be playing Woodrow Hicks. He uses he, him pronouns. He is a scientist, specifically, he's an astronomer. What do we know what year exactly it is when we're starting?
1936.
Oh, perfect. Okay, great. So he works at the very newly opened Hayden Planetarium. He is driven by a thirst for knowledge, but his thirst for knowledge is really, I think, in service of he's a communist, but very few people outside the party know that. He's estranged from his parents for that reason. He has this drive for thirst for knowledge, but it's really so that he feels like maybe there's a way to sort of further the revolution, or if not the revolution, at least social progress, by understanding the occult. And he's very interested in the occult and cryptography, and I have an idea for like the occult thing that he saw, but I don't know if this is cool. Mike, tell me if this is not cool. I was like, Mike had an adventure where with Trophy Dark that was like on an island, and these people showed up and they summoned like these squid people and everybody died. But I wanted to kind of like have that be his thing. Like he that happened when he was quite young. But he had heard about it, interviewed some of the people, and some police officer who like investigated afterwards showed him like this squid tentacle that couldn't be explained, because I think like that was like really early 1900s.
That was 1902, and I'm going to plug Trophy Dark, Isle of Water and Blood, coming soon to itch.
So this is like something that in your family's heritage or some relative has shown you the stuff about this, and it has stuck with you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe it was like an uncle who was one of the police officers, who investigated the incidents on that island.
So you've been very ready to then be open to the possibility of these kinds of weirdness.
Yeah, for sure.
And what is your stability pillar? Like, what's your anchor?
I think it's my boss.
Okay.
My boss at the planetarium, his name is George Brock. He's an assistant director. I really look up to him because, he's just like, has this very kind of modern scientific ethos. If he knew I was a communist, he would probably fire me on the spot, though.
Mm-hmm. How old is Woodrow?
He's 45.
Okay. All right. So that gives us a good sense of who our characters are. What I want to do is we're going to take about a 10-minute break. And then we're going to come back and I might do some relationship connections, like everybody have a connection to another PC, kind of do a once around on that, get that established. And then we'll kind of hard frame into the investigation that all of you are on. Okay. All right. So take 10 and then we'll be back. Of course, I already had to burp, which is the worst possible thing in the world. There we go. But I already started the recording, so there we go. Maybe I'll go back and cut those 10 seconds of my humiliation right out.
So you go ahead and clean that up in post.
Yeah. Before I get too much further, I want to check in on the lines and veils, and I want to read them aloud so people at home, and so all of you are on the same page for this. So we have the following hard lines for the game: harm to animals, harm to children, homophobia, racism with the note that I talked about before, sexual assault, slavery, torture, plant-themed horror, and PC mind control. Another good one to put on the no thanks list. We have veils on any kind of dental horror, eye injury, graphic gore, as well as sexual content. So those are the things that are on there. Feel free, again, if you have some things you want to add to that between now and next time, I'll check in at the beginning of the next session. It's a living document, so we want to make sure that we're all comfortable with those things. So what I want to do is just a quick set of relationship questions. That way I can justify my purchase of all these backstory cards. So that's why I have to do that. So I'm going to start with Elena. And we're going to have this be a connection to the character that is to your immediate right, to do the LR thing, immediate right on the character keeper to like connect you. So you have been involved in some investigations with these other people. Elena, you know all of them, but in one investigation recently, something happened and Sarah Jenkins actually saved your life, like pulled your bacon out of the fire. I don't know if it was a mundane occurrence or a supernatural occurrence. Like, what do you think happened?
Oh, I mean, I think I overstepped. I think we were, I don't know how much sort of like supernatural setting stuff we wanna establish here. And you know, but I imagine we were pursuing some kind of supernatural creature. And I was just too fully confident in my ability to go head to head with it, and like push it, like cornered it, and was gonna try to, I don't even know what, right? Like take it out, take a sample. I don't know. I was out for blood. Like, and I think Sarah just like yanked me out of there. I think battered and bleeding and the worse for the wear, but you know, I would have been gone for if she hadn't done that.
Awesome. Does that work for you, Mike?
It does. Yeah. Can I? Would it be okay if I added a detail as to what Sarah did? Mm-hmm. Can we say this is some kind of like act? Do we want to say this is some kind of like actual? It was an actual monster, and but it's a kind of monster that like lives in the dark. So Sarah, like thinking quickly, put her camera right in its face with like one of those big like 1930s like flash bulb, like actual flash bulbs with a reflector. Poof, and it temporarily blinded it so that it went oh, and then she was able to drag you out of there.
It had a lot of eyes.
I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sarah, you mentioned before that you've seen some ghosts. I think after you had met Harold, after you'd worked with him on some things, and this may be in the recent past or distant past, a ghost that looked not unlike yourself appeared to you in a mirror, and it gave you a cryptic warning about Harold. So like, what was that? Are you now trying to protect Harold? Are you worried about them? Are you concerned about them? Like, what do you think the ghost conveyed to you?
So I'm going to play a little bit off of what Agatha has already established for Harry. So Agatha, please like jump in if I'm overstepping. But I think we've established that Harry is, like I think you said the used car salesman of antiquarian stuff. I think the ghost warned me that Harry plays fast and loose with dangerous things, and that if he's not careful, one of these things is going to hurt him or hurt someone he loves. And was pretty cryptic about it. Didn't say what it was, but that Harry's got some kind of magic. Harry's got some kind of like cursed or magical or some kind of artifact.
Does that work for you, Agatha? Okay. Have you told Harry this?
I'm going to say, yeah, I did tell Harry that that a spirit has warned me that you've got something that is very dangerous and that you may or may not be able to control. Can I just say, and the ghost told me it was a key, but I don't know if it's a physical key or a metaphorical key. So that could be anything.
Harry, what would have been your reaction to this kind of declaration?
I would have laughed. I would have guffawed. Oh, Sarah is coming up with these funny ideas.
Sarah, have you been playing with a Ouija board again?
Awesome.
Yeah. Are we related?
Uh,
Sarah and Harry?
Ooh, I hadn't thought of that. Could be. I'd be okay. I'd be okay if we were. How old is Harry?
In his 30s.
maybe cousins or second cousins, that kind
Let's
of
see.
thing?
We could be maybe second. Yeah, maybe we've got like we've got a great grandparent in common. So yeah, that'd make us second cousins.
I was just wondering why, like, you would even get a warning about me specifically, and then like,
Well,
tell me about it.
I was initially thinking that maybe Sarah had, because Sarah's been like investigating. She had been investigating like occultist charlatans, but then she realized that there were some real ones. And if you're known to be a dealer of like antiquarian stuff that's connected to the occult, maybe I went to you for like background, thinking you might be some kind of expert.
Hmm.
And then while there, the ghost warned me.
Ah,
And then you got tied up like in investigations later after that.
It's kind of what I'm thinking.
Okay.
makes sense.
All right. Harry, for some reason, you had to get Woodrow to help you retrieve an item, something of what you would have said of personal importance. Like what would you have used to convince Woodrow to help you, and what do you think it is that you had to get a hold of?
I think I told Woodrow about this glimpse into something else, this like other source of information that I saw when I looked at that vase, and I'm kind of like using that as a like, if you help me, I'll help you, right? Like knowledge, you like that kind of stuff. You're a learned man.
What kind of thing did you have to get, did you want to get, Harry?
I think it was a locket.
And Woodrow, you helped them out. Did you say you did it grudgingly or willingly or with or gratefully? How, if you helped them, but
I think I'm probably slightly suspicious of Harry, so yeah, I probably did that a little bit grudgingly.
okay. But you have this locket that you obtained. last but not least, Woodrow, you have a recurring nightmare about Elena and a place. Like what kind of place do you see in this nightmare that you have about them?
Trying to think about cool places that would have been around in the 1930s. I think maybe like my nightmare is that we're on like a skyscraper that's being constructed, and it's windy and we're very high up, and I see Elena, and I like call to her, and she just like walks right off the end of a skyscraper beam, and I can't stop her.
It's so vivid. It's so real. Kind of paralyzed with that inability to like rush out there to help. Have you told Elena about this?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. All right. So that gives us a little bit of connection. We've established you all kind of generally know each other. You've done some investigations together. And for the purposes of this, for this hard framing of this starting investigation, you have some reputation amongst people that when there's weird stuff, maybe occult stuff, maybe you're people that can be talked to, can be asked to help out. And through your various contacts, a request has come through. Someone looking for help, indicating that they want help with a missing person. And so the four of you have gotten together. We're in a sort of midtown office, like a third floor walk-up office. And you're meeting with a person named, let me get the names here, John Brayers. His name with his picture there. And he it's a very Spartan office, very bare. You have the sense he maybe rents this for business or like uses it from time to time. He's well dressed, and he's waited till all of you have sat down and kind of confirmed who you are, and he will say, I appreciate all of you taking the time to meet with me today. There is a job, a task that I'm not certain that anyone else can handle. Certainly, we've looked and talked to the authorities, and they haven't been particularly helpful on this. But I get ahead of myself. I am looking for a young man named Alaquin Hurt. He is a son of the Hurt family. I don't think you particularly heard of them. They have some money, but they're in upstate New York. Young Mr. Hurt has been living in New York City for a number of years, and getting a certain stipend from his parents, as well as some other monies. He has, in recent years, become obsessed with occult matters within New York and the local environs. What we know is that he was investigating something something that took him up to, kind of purses his lips, the Red Hook neighborhood of New York, docks and ports and that area. We know that he has worked with a historical local history expert, something like that, at Fordham University, and that he may have been working with some sort of dealer of antiquities, other matters in Arab, but I don't have the name for him. The thing is, we knew he was investigating this. It's been his obsession on these things for a number of years, but he hasn't been seen in 3 days. And his mother is ill, and we would like to be able to have him back so that if her illness takes a turn for the worse, we can have him see his mother before she passes. You will be paid, compensated for your time quite well. And he kind of sits back and waits to see your reaction. The hard framing is you're going to take the case, but I'll let you now ask the questions, the follow-up here.
So Sarah has taken out her little steno book and a pencil, and she's like been writing down what he says, what Breyer says as he, and she asked, so when was the last time that Mr. Hurt was seen again?
In speaking to his building manager, the last person we could identify that had seen him was his building manager in the evening of 3 days ago.
I asked for the building.
Yes, I'll give you the address.
I was going to say, and
yes.
she asked, she gets the address and the name of the building manager.
Harry, questions, comments, things you want to lean into here?
Now, John, what kind of the occult is Eloquent usually into? Oh, sorry, this Mr. Hurt.
As I understand it, he has been researching the history of the occult in New York City. It's not really my area of expertise, but I understand it may have to do with some criminal occult activities within the city.
I think Olena, if it's okay, if I jump in, I think Olena rolls her eyes at hearing that and says something like, history, what is history? Who is he talking to, and where is he going, aside from this building supervisor and this Fordham professor? You say criminal activities, what crimes?
As I say, I don't know. I don't know precisely what he was investigating, but I as I understand it, you and your compatriots have some experience in that, may be able to run it down, may be able to find this professor or find this dealer in antiques or talk to someone at Red Hook. I would think any of those would be good leads.
Well, don't you worry. I'm sure I can ask around for some people.
Now, I will point out, let me just pause here. Let's take a look at the mechanics here too. Certainly interpersonal skills can be used if you want to push somebody to try and read them or get more information. You could also ask, like, do I know who this might be based on having a history, investigative ability or occult or something like that. These are all things that you could ask to apply to the situation here. So I interrupted you, Harry. So what might you want to bring to the table mechanically?
What I would like to do is antiquarian, but that's not a specific investigative skill. But I'm wondering if like something about whoever these illegal dealings in the occult, I feel like I might know something about that, but I don't know.
Do you have art?
I do have art.
Okay, so you probably have a kind of a short list of, like, okay, who could be talking about, like, what would that be? And there is a name that occurs to you, a guy named Vasil Kilik. You know that he's a Turkish by extraction, and that he's willing to deal with even less savory people than you, and has a reputation of being a little more embedded in some of the strangeness in the city. Does that sound like fair info?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. I haven't heard from Woodrow, so let me come to you.
What is the nature, may I ask, of your association with? I didn't quite catch that with Mr. You said he was a family friend?
Mr. Brayers, I am acquainted with the family, but I'm more of a fixer, a middleman I've been hired to see to the interests. Normally, they probably would have engaged a lawyer, but I think given the circumstances, they didn't want to bring in someone from the legal profession.
I see. And what about the family? Can we contact them?
I would prefer not, and I think they would prefer not at this point, especially with his mother's ill health.
Yes, that's understandable.
Is there anything else I can answer for you? I can certainly.
This is more of a this is an out of character question,
Sure.
But is this guy being honest with us? I have assess honesty.
Do you want to make an interpersonal spend?
I'm going to say yes. I would like to make an interpersonal spend.
His desire to contact Hurt seems to be genuine, but like he's not giving you the story. Like there's clearly something else going on. You kind of doubt that this, whatever is happening, is coming from the family.
So Sarah's going to lean forward and say, blanking on the guy's name. Hold on. She's just going to lean forward, holding, again with her pencil and like. Oh, and she's going to close the notebook, just kind of like set it and her pencil in her lap, and just kind of lean forward and say, "Mr. Brayers, I'm getting the feeling that the family doesn't actually know what's going on here, so why don't you level with us?"
What are you pushing on interpersonal wise? What does this feel like for you? Like, how are you? What's your tactic here with your investigative abilities?
Let's see. I think I'm I'm not quite sure what the write up for the skill is, but I was thinking of like reassurance, as if to say like, look, we need, if we're going to be investigating this for us, you really need to let us know what's really going on so that we can really do what we need to do. We need all the information in order to find this guy.
Have you make another spend?
Okay, why not? I'll do another spend.
Okay. He'll say, I've been hired to hire other people. I am a middleman in this. This is certainly what I was told to tell you. I have money to back up this. And from my asking around, this is in fact what has occurred to this young man. Beyond that, I'm not at liberty to say.
So you're not going to let us know who really hired you?
My employer has asked for some discretion in this.
I'm not going to push further. I'm just going to nod.
He says, it's up to you. I mean, I've got the money here to offer you, and this young man may be in real danger right now.
Can I try something?
Sure.
Yeah. I what happens if I stand up? I'm not tall, but I'm muscular.
Mm-hmm.
And I is he standing? Like, what's the physical
situation? He's seated at a very Spartan desk chair.
Yeah. So I get up and I walk around the desk and I sit on the desk so that my head is like probably a little bit above his, right? And I look down and I put a heavy, strong hand on his shoulder. And I say, funny thing is that the money is here. Is the money here? I actually should ask that question.
He definitely has an envelope with some money.
Yeah, I said, the money is here. And we're here. And your boss isn't. So how about you tell me where the money came from, or we'll walk out with it anyway. And you won't walk out of here. I'm trying to push intimidation here.
Yeah,
right?
let's have you make that spend that interpersonal push.
Yeah. And I know there's a sort of inherent risk there.
He definitely looks around at the others who I imagine aren't moving to like interfere with this. Like you're like this guy. He's like, ma'am. Yes. I don't know. Let me give you a name. And then let's consider this transaction complete. I'll give you the money. You can follow up. Does that seem fair?
Yes, we'll follow up with the name that you give us.
It's a man named Frank Strauss. Uptown. Has some, as I understand it, academic connections, maybe some occult connections. Has money and enough money to throw around to pay me to do this and meet with people like you.
Thank you. And I think I pick up the envelope and toss it to, I think to Harry, maybe? Yeah. Yeah, I toss it to Harry.
his color will return a little bit to him once you kind of step away. Like he was very, very worried that he was about to get murdered in this office here. I says, well then, I take it we have an understanding.
Good doing business with you.
Let me give you a number you can call if you find out anything. And he will write that down and hand that to you, Harry, since you seem the perhaps the most reasonable. And the four of you can head out unless there's anything else you want to push on there. So I imagine we cut to like some kind of diner or something where the four of you can chat in a relative isolation to discuss like what's your next step, how you want to proceed. Do you want to split up? Do you want to go together? What do you think? Let's what's your take on this, Woodrow?
I think maybe we should split up because we have a number of leads, and it seems like we want to find this person fast. So to me, splitting up makes some sense.
Harry, what do you think?
Sure. What I would feel very comfortable with is if I had a little bit of backup coming with me.
So, Woodrow, where would you go to investigate? Harry, where would you like to go to investigate?
I think I would want to maybe start at Fordham University.
Okay. And what about for you, Harry?
I, of course, am going to go look for Vassal.
Okay. What do you think, Sarah?
I think I'd like to go to his apartment and I'd like to go to his apartment building, talk to the building manager, and try to sweet talk or perhaps break into his apartment to see what I can find there.
Absolutely. And what about you, Elena? Harry's asked for some backup, or you may have some things you want to do.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Remind me who Vassal is.
That is the sort of other antiques dealer, the Turkish gentleman with perhaps a little less savory reputation.
I think I'll say, Harry, I can back you up if you want, but I'm not going to promise that nothing won't get broken.
Well, we have a name for our employers, so at the pocket with the money in it.
Oh, you don't want me going to talk to uptown fucker like that.
You won't be talking. You're just going to be the muscle that I don't have.
Oh, well, that I can do for you.
All right. Let's take a 5-minute bio, and then we'll come back, do a once around to get a little more information on the table, and then we'll probably kind of break our session there since we've kind of got the lead up. Sound okay? Okay, so take 5. So Woodrow, you have history, so shouldn't be a problem for you to get on campus. How is it that you go about like figuring out who it is that you have to go and talk to? Like, what does that look like?
I think I'm going to try and hit up whatever, like if there's like maybe a bar that the faculty frequent, or some other spot like a restaurant the faculty likes to go. I think I'll start there and see if I can chat up someone.
Yeah, if faculty club, you kind of talk with some people, you're asking about people, and I think somebody from the history department says, "Oh, you want Vikrant Price? He's the guy who does the any kind of unusual New York history. A lot of legend and lore really ought to be in an ethnography department rather than here, but that's neither here nor there."
Cool. So yeah, the next thing would be to track him down, like find his office.
Find that door, come in, and
Oh, hello. Yes, my name is Woodrow Hicks, Mr. Price.
yes,
Oh,
yes,
yes.
he got his nice bowl cut hair and very tiny round eyes. And he's like, so yes.
I'm a research associate at the Hayden Planetarium. I was
a Stradaber.
Yes, and I've been asked though to make some inquiries in a personal matter about a young man named Hurt. Are you familiar with this gentleman?
I know an Aliquin Hurt.
Ah, yes, and he is. I don't know if you're aware. He's gone missing.
Missing, you say?
Yes.
No, I was not aware of that.
Yes. He hasn't been seen in the past 3 days, and the family is anxious to get in contact with him. And I wondered if I might ask you where his interests have run in terms of any research he was doing that might sort of point me to where he is going.
You have history, right?
I think so.
This is one of the, yeah.
Yes.
This is one of those cases where making a spend from history is the way to get this guy to talk, rather than necessarily specific at a personal skill. That kind of talk about it. He is, well, he was very interested in the Red Hook incident from 27. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No, actually, I'm not. Could you tell me about it, please?
Well, there was a police raid on one of the large buildings. I don't know if you've been up to Red Hook. They have a lot of, some might call them tenements, cross-shaped buildings for sort of mass populations up there. But there were some rumors that went around for a few weeks regarding some strange things. A lot of people talking about foreign cults and things. And there were some other hysterical gossip and rumors that went around. The exact nature of how and why the raid occurred is still hard to find out. It's not really my specialty, and it's certainly something that Hurt was looking into. But the police raided the building, and they brought with them some surplus army gear, machine guns, and other things. And as I understand it, it was quite an affair. Blocked off the blocks around the building, raided, stormed the place, started firing on the building. A number of people were arrested. They were, many of them deported, others jailed. others simply vanished from that. But I think the more important point here is that the building collapsed. A number of police officers died, as well as who knows how many civilians. And there were rumors there about that perhaps this cult had wired up the building to collapse rather than be taken. So there's a varied accounts on that score, and some very conflicting witness statements, as I understand it, that Aliquin had heard. But that's what he was looking into.
Interesting.
He actually asked me just recently for a reference to someone from the architecture department.
And who was that was the reference?
Oh, and he will give you a name of an architecture professor. That's who I sent him to.
Do you know why he was had to make an architectural query?
He's a very bright young man. He runs in the same sort of esoterica that I do, but he seemed very. The last time I saw him, it was about 5-6 days ago. He seemed very histrionic and wound up and not entirely clear.
What do you remember? What he said? Anything could be helpful.
Do you have a good interpersonal skill to try and kind of pull this out of him? Anything that?
No, I should have taken some more interpersonal skills. I just have assess honesty and bureaucracy, and that's it.
Well, in between this session and the next, you'll have a chance to flip some things around. But this like isn't your strong suit. Like pleasant cajoling, at least at this moment, isn't your strong suit. You say, I really couldn't say, and he will say, but I do have to move along. I have a lecture.
Oh, yes. Well, thank you for your time, Professor. I appreciate it.
Yes. Well, I'll have to come in and see the stars at the planetarium sometime.
Oh, please do. Yes,
oh,
please
good.
do.
Yes. He'll make you exchange business cards.
Cool. Yeah, good one.
Yeah. Let's come to. Well, yeah. Let's see what Harry and Elena do. Like, where are you going?
Where can I find Vasil?
Yeah,
Usually.
you like would know where his business is. It's one of those walk down into kind of a basement shop, like hidden away, not great part of town, kind of long old place. So yeah, you can head over there.
Yeah, we go straight for there, and I think I tell like Elena where we're going and who guy is and why I'm going there. I remember this guy.
What's he like?
Oh, your mic is.
Yeah.
After every break. What's he like?
Yeah, tell me, Harry, what you know about him, besides him being a little bit more dodgy than you.
Smart, very smart. Can make his way through town, cutting a swath through all these big purses.
I don't really care how smart he is. Is he an asshole? Does he share?
For a price.
So he's an asshole.
Well, in that way, we're all assholes, aren't we, Elena?
No. I mean, we have to eat, but we share what we have. and I try to share what I learn.
Yeah, that's not the American way, and I'll pat you on the shoulder.
And the people who don't, we kill and we take it from them. So
Now we're talking.
Could both disembark here in this section of town. People sitting on the stoops. It's summer, hot. You're driving through New York in this time. It's not people bundled up on bread lines. It's people dressed in whatever they can to keep cool out there, but still people trying to sell apples to make money, that kind of thing. Panhandlers, all of that. But you will step down. It's one of those places where, of course, it's the 1930s, so everybody smokes. So when you walk down, the windows are that kind of delicious stained yellow tobacco colored, and go in. There's the jingle of the thing, and walk in, and it's essentially a junk store. Like everything is kind of crammed and packed, and there's all kinds of bits and knickknacks and things like that, and a mixture of decorations. A lot of those things that are towards the front that, Harry, you recognize as being, these are to grab the marks. These are the things that kind of fool people. And you will hear, hello, 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 hello. Oh, to what do I owe the pleasure of this visit, Mr. Brown? He comes
Aaron
out.
here is as fresh as ever. Basil.
Yes, come in. And I see you've brought, surely this isn't your lovely wife.
A friend. Here for a friendly visit.
Hold on. Come. And he gestures for you to come in to the area where it's got some chairs set up, some like low metal tables. He says, "Can I offer you some tea, something to drink?"
No, none of that. None of that dishwater for today.
You wound me deeply, Harry. See, this is why you don't have as many customers. You have to come and ply them with a little bit of friendliness, of kindness. But come and sit.
I think when he offers a drink, I say, whiskey or vodka?
I'm not a drinker, but allow me to find you something. And he'll find an unlabeled bottle that he pulls the cork out of and pours you a little glass.
I sort of toast him and drink.
So this is very interesting, Harry. You rarely take the trip to come and see me. And coming to see me with an associate, what is it that Vasil can do for you?
Well, Vasil, I've heard you've been busy lately. Busy with so many different people from all different parts of town.
See, when you start that way, I think we're about to have some argument about me snaking something out from under you or something. I hope that's not the case.
Of course not.
Oh, good.
Not yet.
All right. So what is your query?
Well, this name's been going around. Young man by the name of Hurt. Eloquent.
Go on.
Been looking for things, hasn't he?
He is one of those delightful people interested in the cult, with more than a little bit of money, who likes to come and slum down here and purchase a few odds and ends and trinkets and that kind of thing. Certainly.
Now, Vaisal, you and I, we're both business people, aren't we?
We most certainly are. Business is our business.
I'm trying to angle this in a way where it's a bargain. But I
Yeah.
don't actually know what
This
Vaisal would want.
well, I mean, you probably have some things at your shop you can offer, or a little bit of cash. I mean, you have a decent credit rating, so you have some things to bargain with there. You have some leverage.
That's true. Okay, then yeah, I'll just reach into my pocket and take out that same envelope.
Mhm.
No, actually, I'm not gonna take out that. Yes, I will take out that envelope, and then I'm gonna like pull out some cash, some dollar bills, and just kind of wave them in the air.
Uh-huh. Most interesting. What is it that you want to know?
What was he looking for?
Have you make a spend from bargain for interpersonal?
Sure. So that would be spending a push. Is that how that works?
Yeah, you spend a push from your interpersonal.
Okay, I have done that.
He has been here several times. He's asked about various things, and I gave him an introduction to some people in the occult world. A group that they're how do I best say it? The Order of the Thousand Hands is what they call themselves these days. He came. Pardon?
They've changed names.
Yes. They used to have a lot more. It came. Hurt came to me because they used to be more involved with certain communities, Middle Eastern, the Syrians and such. But they seem to have changed membership these days, this group. And I have the sense that Hurt went to maybe join them, maybe become part of their group. But he came to me more recently. About 3 days ago, and had a short list of some materials he needed in a hurry. He seemed very out of sorts. Does that help?
Certainly. What was he looking for? And I do hold it against you that you've never introduced me to the Order of a Thousand Hands.
That's because you're a reputable businessman who has the sense that your God gave you. They're not nice people. No need there's no need for even me to get involved with them. I know them second, third hand, but I know how to introduce people to people. Kind of takes a look over at Elena at this point to kind of try and gauge what Elena's role in this is.
Right. I think if this whole time, so we can maybe rewind back a little bit, but like I think this whole time as Harry and Vaisal have been talking, I've been kind of like wandering around the shop smoking, and like poking my head into shelves, like sort of picking things up and examining them, maybe not super gently.
Monkey's paw, never used.
And I sort of grimace at that, and I set it back down. You know, like flicking ash into some kind of receptacle for something, right?
Oh yeah, there are ashtrays everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, something that's not an ashtray,
yes,
but might be mistaken for one, right? And I think some of this is just to sort of like not let Vasil be at ease, right? To sort of keep him on edge.
Yeah.
But I'm also kind of trying to scope up the inventory, and I have a Colt, so that's like I don't know if I need to spend a push.
No, I think you can definitely see that while a lot of the stuff that he has here is clearly fakes and junk and things to kind of make an impression, as you get further back in the shop, he's got things that you've seen mentioned, like signs and symbols and things and devices and instruments that like occultists would use, like the real stuff. It's scattered throughout here, but with a discerning eye like you have, you can tell that he definitely has some knowledge. He definitely knows the occult underworld.
Yeah. So what do I do with that? Is there something, and this probably does require a push, I'm thinking, but like, is there anything that like stands out to me as particularly, I don't know, powerful, dangerous, interesting?
Make an occult spend.
Yeah.
I think you'll kind of pop open a box and you see a ritual knife, knife of Toth, has the Toth head on the end. It looks genuine. You know, that's a ritual dagger. Like the kinds of things that have over time gained a certain amount of power and connection.
Yeah, I sort of like I pick it up and I start doing this sort of like you know, like a practice form, I guess, right? Like a little sort of like knife fighting pantomime with it.
I'm sorry, Harry. That's quite delicate. Maybe if I could ask you not to play around with that.
I can tell. Harry told me you had the real shit. That you're. I put it back in the box, right? And I say, and I close the box and I pick up the box and I come over to sit down, just holding the box on my lap, and say, is this the kind of stuff you were showing the hurt kid?
And you see him pause. And I'm going to cut because we're going to come back with his answer to the two of you. But let's do Sarah's scene. Sarah, you're headed over to the apartment building?
I do indeed.
Okay. Let's have you roll sense trouble. Difficulty is going to be a 4.
Okay, I think I am going to spend 2 points, which means
only fail on a 1.
Yeah, I was going to say, which means so there's still a chance of failure, but that means I have a okay. So I'm going to go modifier of 2 and a roll. And of course, I rolled a 1.
So I think that on camera, we see you arrive and head onto the building, and then the camera kind of pans across the street, and we see these two guys sitting in a car and watching the building and taking note of you. But yeah, you can find your way to where the super is at.
I'll knock on his door.
Okay. Grumpy, midday, hot. There's no air conditioning here. He comes out. He's in the sweaty shirt, the pits. He is damp. He's waving a fan at himself, like desperately trying to keep cool. Yeah. What do you need?
Hi there. I am. Hi there, and I introduce myself as Sarah Jenkins. I'm with the I'm with the New York Tribune, doing a story on oh God, what's his name? Doing a story on one of your tenants here, Mr. Hurt.
Oh yeah. The little Weasley scholar guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Now I understand that he hasn't been seen in a few days. And I wanted to
like I
confirm
told the other guys, he was here 3 days ago, but I haven't seen him since. I don't know, and certainly hasn't come and gone on my watch.
that.
And I gotta keep an eye on things.
I understand. I'm sure
It's my
you.
job.
Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
you're, and I'm sure you're fantastic at it. What room was he in? What was his apartment?
He's up in 2B.
Up in 2B.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at my skills here for just a moment. Let's see what I want to lean toward. Now, I'm sure that a man of your a man of your skills and a man of your integrity would be trying to think how I'm out of character. I'm trying to think how
Sure.
basically
Sure.
out of character. I'm trying to what I want to try to do is charm him into letting me into into the apartment.
That is definitely a flattery push.
Then yeah, I am going to spend a point to push flattery to convince this guy of like my pure intentions, and that if this is, and that I'm sure that I'm sure that your assistance will, and that your assistance in bringing the story to light will not go unnoticed.
Oh yeah. No, I'd give you the key, but I already gave it to his sister, so I have to walk you on up myself. Let's head up these stairs.
Okay, his sister, you say?
Yeah, she was here day before yesterday looking for him.
Interesting. Did you catch her name? I'm writing this down in my little reporter's.
Some sort of M name, if I'm recalling.
Well, thank you. I'm sure I'll be able to follow up with her.
And he will take you up the stairs and unlocks the door for you, opens it up.
I will step inside.
And I think very much to your skilled eye that you can tell that this room has been tossed. Not badly, like they haven't torn up everything, but people have clearly gone through this room looking for things.
Got it.
What's like the first thing that you want to try and do or try and find out here? How, and let's see if we can apply a good investigative skill for this.
I am actually going to look for. I think I am going to look for like occult stuff.
Okay. So you will check through here. You will find tucked away in between some pages of some books, some esoterica bits and pamphlets and flyers and handouts from something called the Order of the Thousand Hands. It looks, like it sort of looks like a club or organization. There isn't. It doesn't feel like it's not like a church front kind of thing, where people do cults to kind of draw people in. It looks a little more restrained than that.
Could I have I heard of this group before?
Want to make an occult spend?
I will make an occult spend.
That they're relatively recent. Looking at the papers and things, they definitely have like some people who know like some deeper occult stuff. So it's not just like the kinds of charlatan stuff that you would expect. That it's built on some older things, and it uses a lot of Arab and Persian motifs, but it's very much been like Western eyes have redone that. So it's very much an older tradition, co-opted and rewritten in that way. They're said to like be based around some ritual objects, and that they have a longer history in the city. Like they used to be, like some of them used to be from a different group, and they've kind of become this in the last few years. Does that seem like fair info?
Yes, okay. It does.
And I think you'll notice.
I was going to ask, was there any indication in the papers that I found, like where their headquarters / like where their salon or headquarters or storefront is?
No, but I think in searching the room, you're going to find some pages, some notebook pages that are clearly in a code, like that you might be able to crack. You're going to notice two other things. One is there is a distinct smell in here, in that summer heat, that is that kind of sickly sweet. And you kind of walk over, you realize it's not in this apartment, but there's that kind of corpse smell coming from the apartment next door. The other thing you'll notice is kind of glance at his window, and it's very strange. Like it's an apartment window. There's a section of the glass there that's like about this big here, where the glass is filled with tiny bubbles. But that stuff kind of bowed out a little bit, and there's just all of these like microscopic bubbles. You know how when you have like that glass that where they blow and put a lot more air in it to get that effect? It's very weird. And
it's in the window. It's in like the window pane.
It's in the glass. And you're like, that's either somebody really cheaped out on that, or something very strange has happened here.
I'm gonna take a look at that. I'm gonna take a photograph of that.
Okay. Open that curtain up. Take that photo. I'm
gonna take a photograph. I'm gonna take a few more photographs of just like stuff of just like the room.
Absolutely. I think we see you open the curtains. I think we pan outside. We see the two guys in the car. They see you open the curtains on 2B. We see you put the camera, and I think we see them get out of their car. And I think that is where we're going to stop. We'll come back with your friend Wiesel answering some more questions, telling you the very strange and very specific things that the young man came here for. We'll go back to Woodrow as he checks in with the architecture person, I assume, and finds out what weird thing he was looking into. And then, of course, we'll check in with Sarah and see who these two fellows are that are heading up to maybe have just a polite conversation with her. So here's what you can have, everybody. I'm going to give you some advancements because we're only playing 5 sessions. So here's what you can have. You can add 1 to one of your pools, or you can add a new investigative ability, like if you want to add one to your repertoire, or you can have 3 points to put into your general skills, your general abilities. How generous. What a generous GM. So that's where we're going to stop. What I usually do, especially when we do a session 0, is I usually hold off on stars and wishes until session 2. So that's what we'll do. But if there is anything feedback wise or things you want to ask about, feel free to send me that during the week. And if you want to change things around between now and next session, everything is on the table. So you can, if you want to retool completely, you can do that. It is entirely in your hands. Sound good? Okay. I'm going to stop the recording.